And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley, and today I have one of our fan favorites back, my cousin, Guy Holley, who I've adopted. I mean, we spell Holly the right way. Both of us do. And we ain't even related for real. And I was like, you know what? I found you and I found your wife. I'm keeping y'all because y'all know how to spell Holly right. So,
Facts.
welcome to the show, guy. It's good to have you back. And
Yo,
thanks for
yo,
agreeing to come
yo.
on and answer some of my questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything, sis, cuz we call it, we keep it cuz, and everything. But absolutely, my pleasure. I know a lot is happening in the world of grant funding right now, a lot of things hitting the press. And so just being able to, help bring some clarity, but really what people can do during this time, I'm excited to share.
Okay, cool. So, y'all know I said, I don't know how many episodes ago that I wasn't going here. I said I wasn't doing it. I said I wasn't talking about it. I said we're going to stay happy. We're going to keep things glittery. We're going to keep them pink. And that I wasn't going there. But too much done popped up in my timeline. I'm getting too many text messages. I'm seeing too much. And I don't even watch the news. So I'm like, okay, my bad, y'all. Trigger warning. If you got to turn it off and catch me on the next episode. But I'm about to talk about it because with everything else, yes, this is affecting us. But with the federal grant freeze happening, the first person I thought of course, was Guy. Because I'm like, wait a minute. If it's a freeze, how are we still getting to the grants? How are we getting to the grants? So I had just a myriad of questions rush through my head when I saw that pop up. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you about was what does this new order mean for nonprofits and for-profit businesses as far as grants are concerned?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And what I want to say, start off with, anytime an administration changes shift, right? Go to Democrat to Republican back to Democrat. There's always going to be a shift in priorities and what they look to fund. And so, one, don't be alarmed when that happens. It's a part of the game. Like, they have their priorities, what they want to do, and so it's always going to there's going to be a shift somewhere. We saw it when Biden came into office. It shifted from what Trump wanted to what Biden wanted. Now we're seeing it back. But as it relates to the memorandum that came out about freezing of funds, I was reading an article earlier that it said it wasn't meant to be released to the public, for one, and it was an internal order that, hey, we just need to make sure that you're in alignment, that we're not stopping everything. And so, based on that information, what it looks like, this information was leaked out, and then also at the same time, we're looking at what's going on right now. So my Apple Music started, and I hear the song in my earbuds, so I can't really think. Okay, it just stopped randomly. It's actually really crazy that this is happening right now. But anyways, when it comes to this announcement, it's great to understand, okay, all the information that is going on around it. Okay, we see that the press came out yesterday. The news changed again today. The judge put a temporary block on it, but guess what? It's still there. So we don't fully know if everything's going to be blocked, but what we do know, that the federal agencies have to be in compliant with the administration. So if there are some grants that were just released about, DEI, which he's already stopping, those could not potentially be funded, even though the money's been allocated. Now the question comes in, if this is legal, right? The money's been allocated for this funding. Can they stop it? And if it's already been awarded, can they stop it from there? And so that's what we have to pay attention to. And that's not clear yet. All of this is new. No one's ever seen any type of language like this happen before, ever. In the past, it's been like, okay, cool. Prior administration had this going on. It's going to continue to go on and finish funding. It's funding cycle. We'll keep it moving forward. It's just we won't be doing any more of it. So that's what we are at now in this space. But then the next part to your question is, will there be any more grants? Absolutely. I sit on the board, and we're talking about our grants next week. We have, there's always philanthropy happening. As a matter of fact, just today, one Democrat and one Republican, they passed, they presented, when the CARES Act came out, they allowed people to give and be deducted at a higher at a better rate for their taxes. Let me reset that one more time. During the CARES Act, during Trump's administration, he allowed people to give more dollars to nonprofits, churches, whatever spaces that were 501c3s, nonprofits, and they were able to reduce their taxes at a higher rate. So they're proposing to bring that back. What that means is that, okay, cool. Say that I have, a lot more money. I'm going to be able to give more, so it's not getting taxed. I'm not getting taxed on that. Nobody wants to give away their taxes, and so now those dollars are going to be shifted back, potentially back into the nonprofits, to the foundations, and those foundations can give more dollars. And a lot of the major foundations, like the National Association of Nonprofits, they're aboard with that, because again, that's more dollars flowing back into the nonprofits' hands. So there still would be grants. Corporate still gives out grants. Foundations still give out grants, public and private, and then individuals still give out grants to each other as well too. So it's just things are looking kind of different on the federal level. And so we just have to be mindful of what happens there, because again, if it does stop, universities, schools, churches, small businesses, they can be affected.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So it does sound like there may be smoke, but there may not be fire just yet. At least not just all across the board. A
Correct.
lot of
Yep.
the posts and things that I was seeing, it's like, oh, like everything getting cut off. They cutting off Medicare, they cutting off Medicaid, they cutting off Head Start. The kids can't go to school. Daycare is over, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, whoa, whoa. They closing the food
Yeah.
pantries. So it does sound like there are some like funds that are still flowing and will still be flowing, and the business owners specifically do have other options. So
Yep.
I know
Yep.
that it sounds like things are rapidly changing with all of the things that are federally funded, that whole list of stuff that I just named off. And that's something that we would have to keep abreast of day to day, excuse me, in terms of like what's actually happening with it. But I like that you pointed out several different avenues that business owners, specifically, or nonprofit leaders specifically, they can go down
Mhm.
different avenues to access other forms of grants. So that answers my question with a resounding yes. We is still getting to these grants. We're just
Yes,
doing
we
that
are.
in a different
Yes.
way at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And the strategy that I want to give you, especially for small businesses, one of the best ways for you all to get to the grants is having a fiscal sponsor. That's a fancy word for meaning having a nonprofit partner to be on the same mission with you, and then you're leveraging their nonprofit status to receive the larger amount of grant funding that's typically available for them, and that flows into your business, right? So, prime example, I am working on grant management for a small, they're not necessarily a small business, but they are a utility company that services 7 counties, right? And they have different lines of business that they have within inside of their larger business, but they also have a nonprofit arm. So to actually help support a line of their business, they receive grant dollars to help repair homes. So that way, the one line item that they do have in their business is actually beneficial for them. So as you, how that flows, again, they apply for dollars through the nonprofit. That flows in for them to remodel the homes to get them up to a certain state. Now their actual line where they're generating income can actually go in and put the devices and things in that can help the homeowner and also the business save money as well too. And so they're working together. This institution just happens to have a nonprofit associated with it. How I received a federal, I mean, not a federal grant, but how I received a grant at the end of last year was the same organization I'm working with. A portion of their nonprofit works on community development. Right now, and also in my local community, there are different funders who have talked about, hey, people don't understand how to write grants. They don't understand how to design programs. They need help. We don't trust our dollars going to them. And so, as a part of economic development, it means getting those dollars in the hands of people, being able to provide jobs, being able to provide services. So I said, okay, cool. I ended up meeting a funder that says, hey, we have $10,000 to go to this particular area in North Carolina. Who do you know? And I started thinking, I was just like, well, shoot, why not me? And I started thinking about this partnership because we're trying to solve this, we're solving the same things, but from different angles. And I asked them and say, hey, would y'all want to, do this together? It's a part of, this particular program that y'all want to start back in 2025. And it said, yeah, this would be perfect. So we applied, submitted for it, and we won those dollars. And so now I'm coming in to deliver service based on what the nonprofit is trying to do. And they're paying me with those grant dollars. Even though I didn't receive the grant dollars directly into my business, I'm still getting paid from the grant dollars that I identified and did a partnership with. And you can do that strategy too. But you have to be authentic in really building partnership with those groups. Because people can smell a shark, people can smell when you're thirsty, right? Is what it is. But if you're really talking about, really impacting your community with your small business, because you do have the capacity to impact your local community as a small business, find the nonprofits that want to partner with you. You should be building those relationships anyways if you're talking about being in the community and serving those people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about building these partnerships, like I do community service, I show up to other organizations and show up to nonprofits to volunteer, to mentor. When you're talking about these partnerships, is this something that you have to get legally binding? You got to start filling out paperwork, or is this something that you guys are just going in on an application together and you're doing it kind of like in consortium with one another?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, one, you're building the partnerships with people that you like, that you want to do with anyway. So you're already volunteering, with a particular agency. Now, it may depend if the agency requires, hey, if anybody that comes in to do contracts or anything like that with us, they have to go through these procedures. So it depends on the policies of the nonprofit and how partnerships are structured and formed. So the one that I have, said, cool, we went to the table talking about this, this, and this. I'm giving them my W-9, for the tax purposes, show that where the dollars are flowing through. And based on this particular grant, we didn't have to have anything else in play. One of the other, they're technically still a small business, but they're a larger small business. They're a large cybersecurity company, and with them, they partner with, again, the same partner I'm working with now as well. I'm working with a lot of partners. So the one I'm writing grants for, or was writing grants for, they are partnered with one of the people that I am supporting as well too, kind of help bridge the relationship there. And because it was a federal grant for $12 million, there was other things that had to be in place. The entity had to be, checked out. Okay, cool. We're going after this kind of dollars. We're going on the federal level. There could be potential audits going on. So we need to make sure that you're checked out and clean here. Also, the small business needed to have their UEI, their unique entity identifier, which you get through SAMS.gov. And then when you're using that information, you then can apply for certain grants. And particularly on this one, even though they came in as a subcontractor, they still needed to have their UEI in place. So who knows what's going to happen with federal grants? What we do know is that they're going to be talking about AI and technology. Defense is still a big priority for them. So if you're serving in those areas, if you're developing things in those spaces, there still may be federal grants for you, right? But anyways, you may have to be registered with the federal government as a small business to do some of these things as well too. So that could be some of the paperwork things that you may have to do. But for the smaller grants, local grants, you don't have to have your UEI information. You just need to be structured correctly, making sure that you're protecting yourself and the nonprofit. Because if you're doing something fraudulent and then people find out, the nonprofit then goes down, you just want to make sure that you're in order and that your house is good before you're making these relationships and saying that you're doing this and this and that. And I actually talk about that in my workshop. I actually go through, you know, beginning to end. And, hey, these are the things you need to have in place as a small business if you want to get grants.
Okay. See, you read my mind. I was ready for that shameless plug right there because that was a lot of detail that you broke down. And I know that it gets broken down even further when you get to the point of actually filling out these forms, making sure that on the checklist that all of the qualifiers that you're going line by line, making sure that you have all of those things in order for yourself, for the nonprofit that you're working with. And I will go ahead and drop. I mean, while you're making these partnerships with these other nonprofits, look, make sure it ain't Pookie and Ray Ray and them's 501c3 that they just started behind a liquor store or whatever. Like, make sure that you're
Facts.
protecting yourself as
Facts.
well, and
Yeah.
make sure that you've done your due diligence on not only operating your own business with decency and integrity and with a proper code of ethics and all of that, but make sure that the
Facts.
nonprofits that you are trying to partner with, that these also are properly registered entities, that they have their stuff together, that they have their paperwork decent and in order and all of that.
Facts.
So the shameless plug that I was going to give here is if you have any additional questions about what do all of those things look like, make sure that you drop them in the comments below, drop them in the chat below. Myself and Guy will both be taking a look at any of those comments, any of the questions that you have. And there are getting to the grants workshops that Guy does periodically where you can sign up for free workshops, come in and get an introduction to what this looks like. You guys know the first time that I had Guy here about a year ago, me and Grants, it was just like my knowledge was at zero. How did I have to ask him to come back to talk to us? It's because I've gone to the workshops so that I could understand, even at the very base level, to find out where am I even looking for grants? Do I qualify for grants?
Yeah.
How do grants help me? All of those different things. So if you have any of those questions, again, this is that shameless plug. And I'm gonna tell y'all again at the end, but drop those questions and comments in the chat and make sure that you sign up for the next workshop if you are interested, or if you have some questions. More than likely a bunch of them are gonna get answered. I can guarantee you. I've done it myself. Y'all know I don't try to sell y'all stuff that I have not gone to myself, and we ain't even selling you nothing. It's free,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, yeah, it is free, and it's actually in partnership with the North Carolina Small Business Center. So they vet people before they bring them in to share. This information gets shared throughout the state. So anybody in the state of North Carolina, actually anybody throughout the United States can register for it. But it is with the North Carolina Small Business Center. So I'm representing them. So I'm coming in correct and making sure that I'm providing high quality information because it's my name on the line, y'all. And with the name being on the line, just said it perfectly. Just backtracking just a bit. Don't just partner with any nonprofit either because your name's on the line. Some nonprofits, have only been started for a year. So actually, some nonprofits have a bad name in your local community. You want to vet all these people before you're investing. One, you're investing your time to serve with them, but then also talking about going into partnership to receive funding. You got to make sure that their accounting is right. Make sure that they have their people that they can actually deliver the service. Because again, you don't want to get entangled up in some mess and some drama. Because listen, like this show, I love it. Everybody can't go. Everybody can't go to the level that you're trying to go to. In your business and serving your community, doing the work, expanding, growing, adding new employees. Doing the things that you always dreamed about in your business. Everybody can't go with you on that journey, and especially some rinky-dink nonprofit. And let's keep it real deal. Here's some facts, right? If you are a brand new nonprofit and haven't done any work in your community prior to starting your nonprofit, chances are you getting grants are going to be slim. You can get a Walmart grant for $500, which is cool, and that's what I'm going to advise you to do. But it's a start. You got to build your track record. People got to know and trust you, and especially in this climate where, okay, cool, let's just say that the federal funds are cut off indefinitely. That means a flood of people who went to federal grants now are going to be going to the private foundations, the corporations, all the other sources. So there's going to be an influx into this area where they weren't necessarily before. And you, as a brand new nonprofit that don't have any work, no history or anything, the chances of you getting that grant, a larger grant, have just decreased just because of the law of the number of people that are applying for grants that have more qualifications than you do, that have some at least some experience, some data in showing what they actually did or what they're doing. And so those are some things that you'll be competing against if you are partnering with a brand new nonprofit or if you're just starting a brand new nonprofit. Those are things you're gonna be fighting against. So identify and choose quality people to partner with on your journey, towards achieving your vision.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. And I hadn't even really considered that portion. That I mean, if this is, you know me and my positivity, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just temporary. While they look at the books, they're gonna get some things done, and the grants will be back. Just taking the consideration that grants may not, federal grants may not come back. My mind is blown.
Mhm.
That got me off of that you said you ain't want to get entangled with one of these little not real nonprofits, because I was definitely thinking don't get entangled and swallowed up. I'm like, oh my goodness, I was cracking up in my head, but I'm like, nah, stay serious, because there's some serious stuff here. But um let me see, what other options do like, okay, so in the nonprofit space there is a set of options
Mhm.
that are available for those folks. So with all of the advice that you gave so far, is that
Mhm.
applicable for both small businesses and the nonprofit space, or is it mostly nonprofit? Would there be anything different that small business owners need to do?
Yeah. So, one with small business owners, when it comes to getting grants, right? You're still looking in the same places. Yes, we may not see certain things come from the federal government. And I want to, just be clear. I'm saying that it could be. I highly doubt all grants are going to stop because that will cause catastrophic chaos when they're saying they're trying to make America great again, right?
Mm.
Because there are a lot of great work happening because of federal grant dollars, right? Think about universities being shut down, because of some of the funding that can't come through, like public universities, land grant universities, North Carolina A&T State University, right? We are a land grant university that gets federal dollars to come in to help support education. But when it comes to the small business, right, the same rules apply when you are looking. You need to show some work. You need to show that, okay, cool, you are doing this work. Yeah, because the nonprofit, right, they want to see that you just all smoke. You ain't got a fire. You ain't doing any work. You ain't doing any activities, right? You don't have any results. Real talk. Before I even started asking for dollars for my workshops, I was doing them for free. Any space that would have me, I was like, yo, I'll just come do it for free because I knew that was a part of my mission. And then people saying, hey, guy, here's some money for what you just did. I was like, cool, let me start here and just charging that amount. And the next thing you know, the small business center said, hey, no, you ain't getting that anymore for this information. We're going to give you this. Cool. That means how I'm serving and showing up has increased. More people are getting value from what I'm serving. And so all of that free time, I got up to right around 35 organizations that had this information for free before I got some money coming in, right? So the question to you as a small business owner, are you so tight with your knowledge and your resources that you won't serve for free first? That's even going to slow delay your process and get into the bag. So you got to be willing to give some things so that way you can receive. That's a principle. And so, like a nonprofit, yeah, the nonprofit needs to show some work too. They need to show that, hey, they've done these things in their community. They're doing this work now. And also, your like not your nonprofit, your resume speaks for you. Again, my resume, hey, I have a master's in youth, family, community sciences, so I understand programming, right, for this particular demographic, developing communities. I have a lot of work in that specific higher level classes that help increase my ability to do this work. I was already writing grants for my youth development program and received all 15 or 20 of them I had to write to get to the dollar amount I needed to serve the people I needed to serve. Cool. I had stats that he knows how to do this. He did programming. I designed over 25 different programs from ideation to implementation to evaluation. So I can teach on those things. This is before I even started a business. So, but you can pull some of that background information from your work. You know, let's just say, like one of the clients I'm working with now, she's in marketing, right? And she is like a genius in marketing strategy specifically. But she was working for different groups doing marketing. So when she moved into business, she already had the background and knowledge to do what she's doing. And now we're helping to position her to receive grant dollars, but she's already also been getting stats too. I hope that answers the question. I know I kind of went long winded, but the short, concise answer is this: pull your history, make sure you have some history. Facts sell, stories tell. I said it again. Facts tell, stories sell. So having some factual data of what you've done and then having some people's stories to speak to it. Hey, your last employer, did you help grow business here? Yes. Having that written down in a letter of reference. So when you take it to a nonprofit, they see that, okay, he's trustworthy in this capacity. We can trust him to do this work. You know, the same thing as a nonprofit. You got to have some facts, what you've done.
Okay, cool. So don't just get out here trying to just sell stuff off rip. You got to go ahead and put a little bit of work in, whether you in
Yeah.
that small business space or that nonprofit space. I
Yeah.
know that was one of the things that for me, originally I didn't really pay attention to grants because I had always felt like they were for 501c3s or C4s or all the other
Yeah.
letters,
Yeah.
and that there wasn't funding available for small business owners. And through like attending your workshops and talking with you and actually like taking a look into these things, I did start to realize that there are funds available for small business owners as well. There just may be, small tweaks here and there, but a lot of the information and things overlap in terms of the principle at the root of it, what you need to do. The
Mhm.
tedious part of keeping that
Yeah.
history and making sure that your books are straight. So I would say that the paperwork portion of it, whether you a 501c3 or whether you a nonprofit or a for-profit business, all of the paperwork that you should already have in order, you should be able to just pull the file straight down, just pull them down. If you can't pull your file straight down so that you're able to apply for a grant that, you meet the original qualifications. I mean, don't
Mhm.
go apply for just something obscure that it's like, doggone
Yeah.
well that one for you. But
Yeah.
while you're filling out those forms and everything, you should be able to pull your information straight down and click and drag it over, click and drag it over if you are organized enough. So I would encourage all of you, if you are not that organized, or if you still need to get some reps in, if you still need to serve your community ahead of filing some paperwork so that you can, do your own, make sure that you are volunteering in other places. He mentioned employment. Make sure that you are doing good work at wherever it is that you're employed at. If you don't want to work good for them, then find somewhere else to work that you care enough to do an above average job. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
that can be something that you're able to add not only to your resume, but you can also be able to use that as part of your social proof that you really are in this, that this is a part of your purpose, your passion, and that you are committed to the mission and vision, or that your mission and vision align with these organizations that you are attempting to partner with, that you are considering partnering with. And also those same types of things are taken into consideration when you are filling out those grant forms, when they're asking you, well, what do you want this money for? Why should we give it to you? Are you in alignment with us? Are we in alignment with you? So making sure that all of those things, you have your, basically, that you got your stuff together. Change stuff to whatever word you would like to insert there, but make sure that you got it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And you mentioned it. So if you're not organized, this is how you want to get organized when it comes to grants. Create a Google folder. Create a safe space on your MacBook, or I'm using a MacBook, I'm looking at it, on your PC, MacBook, wherever it is that it's at, and just drop everything in there. Take the time to get there. And here's the reason why. Last year, Access Granted missed out on $100,000. Like, yeah, yeah, we missed out on the opportunity to participate in that kind of funding. Here's the reason why. My entire team that we were working together, hey, I've been talking about it, but I didn't push the gas to say, hey guys, here's the deadline date. We need to have everything together at this particular time. The dollars came suddenly. It was a federal grant opportunity, and the group that it just kind of hit, one of the groups that I've been partnering with, they said, hey, you want to go in with this and do this, piece? It can help here, 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 and here. It's like, okay, cool. How long do we have for it? We have less than 2 weeks to get it together. Typically, we take federal grants at least 6 weeks, right, to write and get everything in order. And my team didn't have everything in order. And so we missed out. We missed out by 5 minutes, actually. When we hit the submit button on the grant, it was just 5 minutes over before we can get it in. You're talking about, frustrated, but it was a lesson learned. And that's why I emphasize, when it's slow, take the time and get your stuff in order. Because when the flood comes in, are you going to be able to capture that, capture those dollars? Or are you going to be like me and miss out? It's real talk. And so I know it. We're busy. You're delivering a service. You're a solopreneur. You're delivering a service. You're, doing administration, following up on emails, looking at inventory, looking at all this stuff. But if your foundation's not right, you're not going to be able to build, especially with grants. And so just take the time, a little bit at a time. I know I'm preaching to myself here because I don't like doing it. I'm like, but it's still, we gotta make it happen. You gotta get those things in order, because if not, yeah, I don't want to miss out on another six figures.
Yeah,
I don't even know if
look.
that's gonna come around again. I don't know. I hope it does, but this time, like, we ready. We ready
Right.
for it.
Because you're
Yeah,
talking about some, take the time. I mean, if it could cost you 6 figures in one, like literally in one go, like, come on, y'all. It don't get no
yeah,
realer than that.
yeah,
And he said
yeah,
they missed it by 5 minutes.
yeah.
I
Hitting
know
submit,
dang on well,
important.
if somebody had told you months ahead of time, you would have made an extra hour somewhere in your, no matter how tired you were,
Yeah,
what was going on, like, oh,
yeah,
the milk boiling over on the stove. Somebody else gonna have to go get that because I got to get to this right here.
yeah,
So yeah, let that
yeah.
be a lesson to you guys. And I mean, shoot, it's sinking in for me, because I mean, you talking about you missing out on a year worth of salary because a couple pieces of paperwork wasn't together.
Cause listen, the boy was hurt. Like, I was hurt for a whole week. Like, for a
Look,
week.
I still be hurting. I still be
I
hurting.
still be thinking about the day when I see that bank account. I'm like, yo, it would have been nice to have that six, that cash sitting right there to do this move right here. Definitely had this market flowing right now. Listening up.
Exactly.
Sorry, going tangent. Going tangent. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, that's a
Yeah,
tangent worth going on. And you guys
yeah,
make sure that you don't end up on that tangent by being proactive as opposed to reactive. Because at the time that
yeah,
you need to be reactive, there are other places and spaces within such a process where being reactive, you can get to it so that you can get to your grants, no matter what you see in the news that's going on with the grants. My
yeah,
guy,
yeah,
he is the last guy you will ever need when you try to get to a grant. And he then came through, gave us the real about what's going on, what options are available to us. We're not about to focus on what somebody took or what's not available, because there are other options. So we're not going to be out here chasing more of the what ifs and the we losts, when there are other ways to get to those grant bags. And sometimes it just takes that pivot.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
y'all, that might be our word for 2025.
Yeah.
I done told y'all a few weeks in a row, make sure you embrace that pivot. Here's just another one of those times where we will have to do so, whether you are in the nonprofit space or a small business owner. And make sure that you are keeping your ear to the street. Make sure that you are tuning back in for additional episodes of Everybody Can't Go. Make sure that you drop some comments, make sure you subscribe. You know, I'm always bringing y'all fire people, or I'm bringing you some heat. And if you have questions
Yeah.
about those grants, make sure you drop them in the comments below. Myself and or Guy will be sure to answer those things and get you over into his sphere.
I want to give you people one more thing, Jess. One more thing for the folks. Listen, y'all. She said, keep your ear to the streets, right? It's really important to listen to the language that they're using. All right. If y'all seen Hitch, I'm gonna use this analogy. Have y'all seen Hitch? In Hitch, there's a scene where Will's in the bar, and Hitch was in the bar, and like he sees the news reporter that he wants to go talk to. So he's talking to the um the bar attendant and asking, hey, what's the deal with her X, Y, and Z, getting a real lowdown, what's her favorite drink and all that. But guess what? Here's this other dude that's hyperactive and everything, that slides in there with her favorite drink, is like just dropping the random pickup lines. And the person and the news, Mila, I guess is her name, whatever her name is, she's looking at him like, dude, go somewhere else with that cap. Like, I don't want to hear that. I ain't trying, like, I don't want any of your games and everything. But what Will is doing, he's just sitting on the sideline watching. He's paying attention. He's keeping his ear to the street. And what ended up happening was that he went over there, slid in there, brought her a different drink, brought her a beer. I think it was a beer. It was something different. It wasn't the martini that she wanted, that she liked. And then it kind of swooped in, said some random lines that blew her brain, spoke her language, and then he walked away. And then he left that imprint on her more than a person that was just jabbering. So how does this relate to grants? The federal administration is saying certain things. Okay. Hey, we're talking about, like, I was watching something a little earlier. We're talking about, defense, protecting our borders, doing this, technology, AI. Okay, cool. This is where their focus is. We listen to what their focus is. We stay true to ourselves, but start talking their language. Okay. We're not looking at diversity now. We're looking at just underserved rural America to serve. Okay. We're pulling some data about that. We're looking about things inside of the military that may need, our assistance. There's a world that's inside of there. You have to do your research, but listen to what they're saying. See how you align to what they're saying. Use what they're saying on the grant applications, and that increases your chances of winning, versus saying, going in there saying, oh, we're DEI focused. That's getting cut, to the federal government. There may be some foundations that say, hey, we want to focus on DEI. We still believe in it. Cool. Use that language with them. The people that you're applying to, they have specific language that they're using. Understand it. Keep your ear attuned to what they're talking about, and use it as you're applying. That's my last piece. And if you want to get more, we got the trainings. I'll make sure you have the links. But the last Tuesday and Thursday in February, I don't know the numbers of the days, but the last Tuesday and the last Thursday, we have part 1 on Tuesday, part 2 on Thursday. Yeah, look it up real
So
quick.
that's the 25th, February 25th, and February 27th.
Yeah, 2/25/25. Somebody gonna play those numbers. Right? That's what my grandma would say. Go play those numbers for me. Yeah, so definitely come. You'll get some more, game for free, right? But it's always a pleasure coming up here. I love the energy. I love y'all. I love the group. I look forward to seeing, what questions y'all have. And I'll make sure, Jess, you have my information. You already have it anyway, so you can just, people have to reach out to them if they need to.
All right, for sure, for sure. And that was actually a good note to end on. Make sure that you speak in the right language so that you can get the results that you want. You know that I'm always telling y'all stuff about building the dream life, building your business, building the dream as you see fit. Sometimes a part of that, again, you gotta make that pivot, make that shift. And if you gotta speak a little bit different, do what you need to do to get what you're trying to get. I ain't about to show up at the Eiffel Tower mad that everybody's speaking French. That's what they supposed to do. So we will see you guys next week for another Everybody Can't Go Convo. And thanks for coming through.